Hey everyone, welcome to another video review. This is the Transformer Studio Series, 86 Devastator. Yeah, as a whole, we're going to finally build them together. We're going to finally build them all told and everything. So, first thing is first, I think, is we're going to go ahead and get the some final details, like the arm guys here, of course, yeah, taking this and closing that up and rotating the fist out right here, locking into place. And then that goes right there. You can see there's that peg in there. It goes over this hole right here, like that, and then you go ahead and rotate this like that, and rotate that rotate like that. That's what you said. Rotate like that, and then everything's good to go there on that fist. And then the same thing on this side, of course. You know, fold that peg in if it's out. Rotate the fist around and lock it in place. You know, peg and hole. Just get that situated like that. Rotate the fist in place, and there's that. So, of course, take the chest wing thing and like folding, assembling that together is pretty straightforward like that, and that's ready to go. So, and of course, yeah, these two are already together because I already showed how to put them together in their video. So yeah, just going to get this started. So starting with the legs here. So what you want to do here is you want to bring this bit of scrapper back and untab the legs from each other like this. Then right here, what you want to do is right here, this little thing right here can slide into here, right here, like that. Just slides in like that, and you bring the other leg in and tab it together, or tab it all together, like that, and then bring it back forward like that. And that's one leg done. On this side, it's pretty straightforward as well. You just untab this bit right here, just bring that forward. Then right here, this will just slide in right here like that, and then bring this back forward and just lock in place. And that is the legs all done. Like so. Going upstairs. And of course, right here, you have to do the arms before you put on the chest shield. What you want to do here is, yeah, you can see this rail right here, and that just goes over top of this like that, and lock that, push it down until you hit it, clicks into place like that. Then back here, you can see there's a tab right here on Long Haul's arm, which will go into a slot on the base of the tread for Bone Crusher. If you line it up like that, and they'll just slot together like that. And same thing on this side. This will, slot over top like this until pushed down until it clicks into place. And ostensibly, this is also supposed to tab in, but this right here you can see on mine for whatever reason. I'm not sure if this is a common issue, but that does not tab together particularly at all. It just kind of pops itself back apart pretty much immediately, so that doesn't work. That's that. And then finally, of course, we got to go ahead and get the chest shield on, which, okay, I found that actually the easiest way to do it is to actually bring this down like this, and then right here you see these clips right here will go over top of that. You don't pull it apart in the process. The clips will go over top of this like that. Bring it up, and these tabs right here will go into a little slot right here, and these tabs right here will go into little slots right here, and everything, just locking it all together. And then that final bit of locking like that, and there you go. And with that all said and done, have Devastator in his full complete combined mode, and oh boy, what a good looking combiner. I'm gonna say it right now, this is a really good Devastator for sure. I rather like him. He's got a couple problems here and there. They're easy to address, and there's one video out there that kind of makes one problem seem like it's way worse than it actually is, at least in my experience. But yeah, this Devastator overall is really, really good and comes together really solidly. The only complaint I have really when it comes together, actually I have two kind of, there's one which is, yeah, on mine for whatever, Scavenger just does not tab into Long Haul. I don't know if the tab might be too big or something. That's what it seems like, but it seems almost extraneous. This thing locks in together. The other thing is down here at Scrap, there's a bit here where this is supposed to lock, and it comes undone really easily. Unfortunately, that just doesn't lock as well as you'd hope. But then again, I've seen videos where someone's like, oh no, it just falls over. No, it doesn't. As long as you're careful and you're manipulating the leg here, it will be fine. Another thing, I've already mentioned this in the Mix X video, but yeah, when it comes to the combined mode, this right here, you can see that's not quite even. Right here, this is not even right here. And I think that's intentional as well, because if it's not even, it actually stands well, solid. It stands really solid as long as that's, because it's not even, like something, the pressure about that causes that to work just fine. And yeah, you can see overall, like, yeah, Devastator just looks good. I mean, you got his big old like, face right there with his visor and everything. You got, you know, on the silver crest, you got of course the crane on the shoulder. You got that right there. You got, of course the scavenger and bone crusher right there as the arms. You got the really nicely detailed like chest wing thing. Long hole being the abdomen and everything, and of course the torso. Yeah, the hips and whatnot are now a separate piece. You got Scrapper and Mixmaster down here looking good. Yeah, of course, that whole thing, which is, people are upset about this because I think this right here, because this, they're kind of offset from the leg, which some people do not like. And the reason for that is, yeah, when you got the legs straight, you can see, straighten these out a bit. When you got the legs straight, they don't bang into each other. Of course, multiple kits are out there to straighten these if you really hate that, but know that if you do this, they will be banging together when they're straightened out. They're going to be kind of, they'll be like you won't be able to get all the way straightened out. So just something to be aware of if you're going to use one of those kits. And of course, yeah, talking about stuff back, which, yeah, Devastator here definitely has a backpack, but honestly, he's kind of supposed to. There's this thing right here. Some people don't like. I know some people knocked out a pin right here. Like I think that pin right there. I don't mind it, but yeah. Got a big backpack, and yeah, the other thing I complained about already regarding Mixmaster is this: I don't like how the forearms are just sticking out like that. But other than those little things, other than that, for me personally, it's just basically for me, Mixmaster's forearms sticking out. This doesn't happen, and this I wish this was a little bit more solid down here with Scrapper. Other than that, he is amazing in my opinion. He's really solid. I can just and he stands. He just stays standing. The only time I ever had him fall over on me was when I put him on carpet real quick, because I was just putting him down on my floor real quick because I was doing something, and then he fell right over. But that was the only time he's ever really like sometimes Bone Crusher unfortunately doesn't always stay tabbed together right there. That was the only real time I've ever had him fall over on me. So there's that. But articulation-wise, his head is on a swivel. There is no ball joint, unfortunately. It's just the nature of it. There's not enough room in that plank for a ball joint. You'd have to basically have like a big old neck joint that would completely change all the engineering it did. But it's on a swivel right there, so left and right. Shoulders are both, full 360 on both shoulders right there. Outward for both of them is pretty much the same, although this you have to kind of get the scoop a little out of the way, and then, but yeah, you get in full outward right there. One thing people complain about, which is right here, the forward back on Bone Crusher is definitely a little looser than on Scavenger side. And I have fixed that a little bit. Let's take that screw right there. That screw right there. If you tighten that screw right here, it will basically make it a lot better. It's not perfect, and a Scavenger is still largely a better overall shoulder, but it's still a lot better than earlier than it was out of the box. Also down here, you got swivels right here, right above the elbows on both sides. No problem. Elbow bends, not quite 90 degrees, just because things bump into each. Neither one of them gets into 90 degrees, and some people are upset about that. But he's bulky, so it's kind of one of those things that you're gonna have to trade off. Wrists are on swivels right there. The fingers can open and close, no problem. Right there. He does have a waist swivel. You get about that much, of course, before the backpack, bangs into it, but I think that's plenty of waist swivel, personally. Right there. And of course, down here at the hips, you have very nice clacky ratchets right there. Outward, you do have, it's just friction. You get very much that much outward, which is almost a full splits, not quite. You do have a nice thigh swivel right there. Knees, for both of them, you do have 90 degrees of knee bend, which is nice. Again, for the Scrapper side, you want to be kind of careful about that, because if you do it wrong, you could accidentally unseat that, and you don't want that. So, yeah, as long as you hold it right, it'll be fine. Though, so I haven't had any give out on me ever. So, I think some people are kind of overly cautious about that. And finally, down here at the feet, you do have, you see, nice clicks at ankle tilt. You get this one. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there, and him is 1, 2, 3, 4. you get about 4. So 4 on one leg and 5 on the other. So yeah, and of course with him you have to kind of get that foot or that forearm out of the way. But yeah, generally he's really solid. He's not creaky or unstable. That's always the thing. Is like that's always the worry because Scrapper, you know, because of the nature of his foot mode, it's there's always the weak point whenever it comes to a Devastator and I guess solidity. And he's not a problem really. I don't feel like he's a particularly big problem. He feels solid. So there you go on that. Now a couple things. Guns. All their guns do store away. Like all their little individual pistols do store away. This is Bone Crusher, and of course, it just stores away right here, like that. Scavengers stores away back here, like this. Scrappers, you basically plug it in back here, like this right here. That's what they tell you to plug it in. And same with Mixmaster's gun. It also plugs in back here, like so. Hook's gun. You basically just plug it in where you would on the vehicle motors right here. This is probably the most tenuous connection of the whole thing, which is Hook's gun on here is not great. It's not a great connection, but it will work as long as you don't poke it too much. And as for Longhaul's gun, the thing here is it kind of did something cool, which is in the cartoon, coming down here, the cartoon, Mixmaster got a little toe thing, so it's kind of emulated. There's the little peg holes right here, and you just plug Longhaul's gun into the front of Mixmaster, Longhaul's gun to the Mixmaster, and it kind of emulates the toe. It's a little off center, but that's what you do. And actually, heck, if you want to really make it more accurate, somewhat more accurate, you can just unplug this belt. Of course, I don't know what you do with this afterwards, but hey, you can do it. The only thing is, I kind of wish with this, like those holes. I know those holes are there because they're kind of like the holes in the bumper are kind of like, I guess, authentic to real life. I kind of would wish though the holes were a little more centered, so basically you could have this bit more centered to the front, but it's not the end of the world, honestly. It doesn't work. It doesn't bother me that much, but you know, there's that. And of course, you can take these bits from Scrapper and combine them together, just like I showed before, like that, and he'll hold it in either hand. Now, unfortunately, this is probably the other weak point, which is, boy, that sure is loose. It does not take much for this to come out. It's like we're treating the shallow peg and everything. This is also really loose. What I've found though is weirdly enough, because I was wondering if it was the peg or the hole, and like in this hand, it's also loose, but in like every other peg hole I've plug this into, including like all the individual members, this is really nice and snug. So every other peg hole is fine. It's just the hands. So I suspect it's the hands, and of course you can also sort of way back here as you want. See, like that's nice and snug actually. That takes a lot more to rotate. You can plug it in back here if you want, you know, or split it apart so you know the gun is just stored away. So you can store the gun away like that if you want. If you don't want them to hold one. So that's pretty cool. It's still, you know, but yeah, it's just apparently I don't think it's not the peg, it's the hand hole. It's the holes in the hand. So if you're going to thicken anything, try to get thickener into the holes here, not on the peg. I think that's going to be more difficult overall, but I feel like that will work better in the long run versus later if you're trying to put this into a different peg hole that won't work very well. So yeah, it's just the second time now we've gotten a Devastator from Hashtag, which has, you know, he doesn't have a very good grip on his gun. So yeah, it kind of sucks, but it's I think it'll hold just fine. It'll stay in place for the most part, but it doesn't take much to accidentally, like, ooh, you bumped it and now it's doing that, you know, so that's a little bit of a frustration, but you know, again, it seems to be the peg holes, not the peg. So just an FYI. So now I guess it's time for comparisons. So I gotta get him way back here and off to the side. So, yeah, of course. Here's Studio Series 86 Optimus right there, who is standing funny. There we go. There's Studio Series 86. There's Studio Series 86 Optimus, which I think is about right. Here's Studio Series Megatron. Well, that looks pretty good. I think that looks pretty good overall as a whole. Here's my knockoff G1 Devastator. Yeah. Yeah. which I think this thing is kind of starting to fall apart. I've noticed. I think it might be time I just go ahead and get rid of this knockoff. And why not? Because I've had him out. Because yeah, here's Legacy Menosaur. No modification there. You can see Devastator's taller than him. Yeah, if you have the DNA, I've seen the picture. If you have the DNA kit with the it has the weird stupid thigh extensions, he'll be about as tall as Devastator here, I believe, thereabouts. So yeah, there's that if you want to know. But yeah, Devastator's taller than him, which also means here's Superion. Here's Age of the Prime Superion, which again, Devastator is taller by a good chunk, about a good head taller at least, if not head and a half. And again, probably there's going to be some sort of DNA kit for this guy too, which will make him give him dumb long thighs and everything. And of course, finally, here he is next to Combiner Wars Devastator, who is way taller, but weirdly enough, I've got to double check this. They feel like he's only slightly heavier, despite being significantly taller. He's only slightly heavier because this was, Combiner Wars, this is one of the things, I felt like this way back in the day, this felt a lot more rock solid, but now comparatively, this is no brainer. This is overall a better figure. This may be taller, but this is overall better. Like, it locks together better, it looks better, I feel. It's weird, because like, it's so much of this feels like the exact same thing that they did with Combiner Wars. Like, so many of the same things they did with Combiner Wars happens over here, but this thing feels like it locks together better, it feels more solid. It feels more solid and everything. This thing feels kind of flimsy, actually, if anything. If anything, this almost feels comparatively kind of flimsy. I used to think of it as rock solid. I never reviewed it because kind of before I started reviewing stuff, but that's the weird thing. Yeah, this I used to I would call this solid at one point, but now this is so much more rock solid as a whole. I think this is genuinely just overall a better toy. Period. It just feels better. So yeah, this thing is still kind of neat, but I think it's one of those things. I think I'm going to go ahead and just kind of say goodbye to it. I think I'm going to be saying goodbye to it pretty shortly. So, yeah. Of course, there is one other thing I want to do real quick because I'm doing comparison stuff. I'm not going to bring all the Dinobots out because that's just a lot of effort. But there's a Sludge. And that actually looks about right, actually. That's Sludge in his Dinosaur mode, which that looks about right. And now, of course, there's one other thing I kind of want to do, which is we're gonna see if this works. Can Devastator pick up Sludge and hold him above his head? All right, I'm gonna do some finagling, and this is gonna be a fun time. All right, gotta set this up and open up those. Can he hold him? Are his joints strong enough? So far, our answer seems to be no. You kind of have to rest him on top of there, but that, from what I've seen, that looks pretty much right, scale-wise. Gonna have to rest him on top of his head because his joints are simply not strong enough to hold him up. There's no way. I mean, looking at that this mix match is possible. Looking at that. Right there, and it's not quite the same, but that looks roughly correct. So there's that, I guess. Of course, he was holding him more like this, kind of more like that, and yeah, you can't really hold him like he does in the movie, but you get the idea. So that is Studio Series Devastator. He's got a couple flaws. The bit on Scrapper right there doesn't totally lock in super well, so it's easy to knock out of position, but it's also easy to lock it back in. It doesn't really feel like it's going to be a problem for him standing unless you do some really wild poses. On mine, the Scavenger there's a tab that doesn't fully tab in, but it's not going to be an issue because he locks in regardless. The gun is kind of ridiculously loose in his hand. It seems to be mostly the hands, not the gun. That's the problem. And yeah, overall, he's just got a couple of just little minor quibbles here and there, like, Mixmaster doesn't, Mixmaster's forearms just kind of chill out back there, don't really peg anything, stuff like that. Bone Crusher doesn't ever seem to fully tab himself in, unfortunately. And yeah, there's some people might complain about basically the little butt flap thing, which, And my other thing is, part of me wishes that the chest shield thing kind of sat a little bit higher, but at the same time, it actually looks better in person than I was thinking. So that was initially my initial impression. So it's one of those weird things, but it's generally a really good figure, and I like it a lot. And yeah, as a whole, Studio Series Devastator is a great Devastator. It's better than Combiner Wars, in my opinion. It's definitely a better overall figure. For me personally, unless you just really want your your Devastator to be just really tall, this is you're a good Devastator for Generations. This is a better Devastator for Generations. Of course, there's some people who have that that undersized knockoff, which is about the same height as this thing, but yeah. There's that weird thing, but I still feel like this is overall together more solid. It feels solid. Most of it comes together really solidly, and I rather like it a lot. It's really good. It poses well. It's just a rock solid, great combiner, and it's worth the how much was this? This was 2 Deluxes, 2 Voyagers, and a Commander, so it was $210 for this. Yeah, $210, of course, assuming that you don't get kind of a later. But yeah, $210 for this, I think it's worth it. Yeah, it's more expensive than Combiner Wars was, but it's a better toy. I feel like that extra $90 compared to how much Combiner Wars Devastator was a decade ago, might I remind you, compared to that, it is a $90 better toy. Unless you just really hate the whole pants thing or whatever, or the butt flap, I guess. He's just a great toy, and I highly recommend him, and he's just so fun to play with and combine. He looks great, and he's solid and stable, and he's a wonderful figure. So there you go. That's it for my review. I hope you find it informative and entertaining. Hope you like, comment, subscribe. Check out my social media. It's down in the description and at the end of the video. Check out my Ko-fi and my Patreon. I shall see you next time with another video review.